the recording. Live on Facebook. Okay. Things are set up. All right. I'm going to screen share. Well, just before I screen share, last night when I was setting up the Zoom, I needed a title for today. And at first nothing came, so I saved it. And then all of a sudden, Harmony Abounds came. I was just thinking of that this morning and thinking, wouldn't that be wonderful for everyone to be able to spend your moments in ways that you like? So anyway, let's continue on. Okay. Screen sharing. These slideshows are what came up. I pulled up the lessons that I share here, I have shared, and some I continue to share. I pulled up stories which might get shared. Let's see if this was how we closed up. Okay, good. All right, it seems it's coming up. All right, let's try this from current slide. There is something outside. Sounds like a helicopter. All right. This might work. Okay. Welcome to Karen Ryce's Family Zoom Station. That was one of the names, I think the first name. Episode 8. This was homeschooling during the time that the schools were closed and kids were home. And the one rule: during the first part of this 1-hour show, I share tips and strategies that create harmony with kids. Then we open things up for Q&A and discussion. That's when we have guests. As we're going through the slideshow today, please think of situations with your kids or situations you've seen or heard of that might be solved using the one rule, especially situations for today's homeschooling parent. We can do this after the slideshow. Do you ever come into conflict with your kids, especially now that everyone is at home and you have the added responsibility and stress of being their teacher? Would you like to transform that into harmony, even if you don't believe it is possible? It has recently become crystal clear to me, step 1, 2, 3, clear to me, the process where conflict develops, the habits involved, and what to do to change that. Before we get into that, let's do this little exercise to see where we are headed. Close your eyes and imagine this: your family, no conflicts, everyone getting along, everyone helping everyone getting what they need, everyone having a good time. Just imagine. Sound good? Well, that's what you can create with the one rule. This one strategy could put an end to conflict in just one session. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy, actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple, it's easy, it's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. That's what it takes. You just have to use it. So let's get started. First, we're going to take a look at how conflict begins. In just about anything you can think of, there can be differences between two people. Picture this: no one has the same point of view. That means no one physically looks out of your eyes except you. If 2 or more people are looking at the same thing, each person's point of view is different, if only slightly. Differences don't have to result in conflict. Everyone has differences in interests. Some of us like to read, and some of us would rather play video games. Differences in beliefs. Some of us believe in the work ethic, and some of us believe that life is a playground. Differences in values. Some of us believe in cooperation, and some of us believe in competition. Differences in likes and dislikes. Some of us like chili, and some of us don't. That's not to say that we don't have many things in common, but when we have differences and do not know how to resolve them in a humane and peaceful manner, conflict develops. Out of the situation of conflict spring all the troubles that develop between adults and kids. Think about it. When you're angry with your kids, it's because they want one thing and you want another. Whether it is over bedtimes, you want them to go to bed, they want to stay up. Homework, you want them to do their homework, they want to watch TV. Chores, you want them to do their chores, they want to go to their friends. Whatever the issue, Learning how to resolve differences and the resulting conflicts in a humane and peaceful manner is what the one rule is all about. Once you've made the one rule your habit, you can avoid getting into conflict in the first place. The one rule is simple. It's finding agreement before you decide what to do or not to do. As long as there are no differences, there's no need to use the one rule. Oh, I want to put something in here before we go on, because it was pointed out to me by Batul that it doesn't have to be a potential conflict. The one rule is also helpful coming to a decision about something like maybe meal planning or vacation planning, any kind of planning like that, where there are different people who are going to be involved and would have possibly different needs or wants, preferences. The one rule, using the one rule, coming to agreement can be really helpful to have it all go smoothly. Okay, back to this lesson, 8th. Remember that earlier I said that I'd become 1, 2, 3 clear about the process where conflict develops, the habits involved, and what to do to change that. We covered the first part. Now let's get into the rest. You, the adult, are the example of the one rule in action. You make sure that the rule is followed, and especially that you follow it. The one rule shifts everyone's goals. The primary goal is now finding agreement. But remember that what everyone agrees to is something that they like, that they want, something that is satisfying and fulfilling to them and to everyone else involved. It's not just settling for second best or giving up on having something you want at all. And the one rule is only used when differences are leading to conflict. We saw that, the other possibilities. It is a path to harmony. That's all. Now that's true in all the situations. It is a path. This says a path back to harmony. That's interesting. It is a path to harmony also. That's all. One of the common habits that contributes to conflict is the adult's habit of saying no to what kids want. Using the one rule eliminates this habit, so it is no longer a player. If you had this habit, you may notice that saying no might still be your first impulse, but it will vanish as you get used to using the one rule. Another habit that can contribute to conflict is the adult's habit of being in charge. This is another habit that vanishes as you get used to using the one rule. You'll see that finding agreement is such a satisfying habit to develop. It relieves the stress of having to be in charge. And as you experience the enjoyment and relief of coming to agreements, you'll be so glad you adopted this new harmonious habit. Another habit that can be transformed by the one rule is the habit of being a bully. This is closely related to the habit of always being in charge. A bully is someone who has the habit of taking charge of other people, whether those people agree with this or not. I'm sure you can see how the one rule changes this habit. The new habit is finding agreement with whoever is involved. No bully here. Here's a story that wants to be told, even though at the time I had not yet become aware of the one rule. I was substituting in a class of fifth graders. I'd been there for a few days. There was one boy who none of the other kids seemed to like. His assigned seat was by himself in the front of the room. Then he was absent for a couple of days. When he came back, he started throwing little pieces of wadded up paper at the other kids. I wondered what to do. It was my belief that he did not feel good about himself, and I didn't want to make him feel worse, but I didn't want him to throw things at the other kids. They didn't like that. I guess I asked myself a question and I found an answer. This is one thing that happens when you use the one rule. There was one large empty wall in the classroom. I had him move his chair nearer the wall. I told him he could throw the paper at the wall for as long as he liked. He started doing that. When he was done, he picked up the paper on the floor, and not only did he not throw anything at anyone, but he was also invited by a group of boys to sit at their table. Now, let's see what other problems we can solve with the one rule. Thanks for being here. Okay, that's if someone were there. All right. Now, I'm going to go to the next slideshow. I thought it was interesting that it didn't come to me to do these in the order they were created. This was episode 6, an earlier one, and it was still in the homeschooling time. Solutions. Okay, I'm gonna skip, the first slide. 2 weeks ago, it was suggested that we address the topic of homeschooling, especially since almost every parent is a homeschooling parent these days. Well, now that's not true, but there are a lot more than there were. It was also suggested that I share ways to ease some of the problems that have come up because of this situation. Last week, I shared a few strategies to reduce stress and overwhelm you might be experiencing because of the unusual situation of all of you staying home together. What I want to share today is because of one thing that came up during Barda Allen's presentation. That is the concept of trusting kids. Put this to use and feel an enjoyable sense of ease in your life. It turns out that this is an outcome of using the one rule. Here's a short review of the one rule and some supportive elements. Kids have a very important job to do, as important as any job on earth. It's their job to create an adult, the adult they become. One of our jobs is to help them do this and hopefully do an excellent job of it. The one rule helps this happen. It is distilled from over 47 years of focused attention, observation, experimenting, inspiration, and caring. That's why experiencing, understanding, and using the one rule is so important. The one rule helps kids follow their developmental blueprint. Kids are equipped with a developmental blueprint which dictates how to accomplish things like walking, talking, and all that we must conquer as we grow up. This developmental blueprint, with its inner motivation, ensures that a child masters certain abilities. A child must do what their blueprint dictates. Here's the one rule. To raise happy kids and be happy yourself, Make sure that all involved agree with each decision. I know it sounds too simple. It is simple. But this is how I raised my kids once I decided never to force them to do what they did not want to do. This was how I treated the kids I worked with. For short, the one rule equals agreement. And here are beliefs that support the one rule. We are each important. We each deserve to feel good. There is a way to find agreement. You don't have to accept these beliefs to be able to use the one rule. But as you use the one rule, you discover that you are using them. Just as you discover that you trust your kids, even if you did not start out trusting them and their decisions. Using the one rule automatically brings about trusting and trustworthiness. Benefits of trust. Trusted children develop into trustworthy children. It is so exciting to trust children and to have them prove that your trust in them was warranted. Perhaps not the first try or even the third, but then how often among humans is the first try the only one needed to achieve competency? As you watch for it and expect to see evidence of trustworthy behavior, you see it more and more. Trustworthy kids are a joy. You know they've learned a lot about what's good for them and what's not. Also, since you trust them, they can't help but trust your good judgment and come to you easily when they need help. Steps toward trusting. What if you're afraid to trust your child's judgment? You may have good reasons for this. However, you can move from where you are to where you want to be, trusting them because they've proven themselves trustworthy. You could start with small, safe situations. Discuss this process with them. Tell them you want to be able to trust their decisions. Make sure they agree that this is a good idea. Use the one rule. Now you can both learn what you need to learn. They can learn to be trustworthy, and you can learn to trust them. It's good for you both to practice. Keep this going. It might be more effective, though it might be more difficult for you, to start with something that means a lot to your child. Discuss it thoroughly. Make sure you both understand how you want it to go. They are likely to make their greatest efforts to be successful if it is something they really want to happen. Eventually, you'll be able to trust them and they'll prove themselves worthy of that trust. Then, even if things don't go as you both intended, you'll both know that they've done their best to be trustworthy, and there's no reason to stop trusting them. Here are a couple of stories about situations that taught me some lessons about trusting kids. The first lesson taught me that trusted kids live their truth. I call this the roof jumper. At Children's House, our Montessori preschool, we had a low shed over the tricycles to protect them from the weather. One day, one of the 4 or 5-year-old boys figured out how to climb on the roof and was getting ready to jump off. I rushed over to him to stop him. He told me that he did this at home all the time. I decided to trust him and stood by to be available. He did fine. Other boys came over to join in. One tried and decided against it. More than one boy decided not to climb up and jump. A few did it. No one got hurt. They all got to be trusted with something very challenging, and they all got to make the right decision for themselves. In the poison oak lesson, I learned that sometimes trusting is the only choice that makes any kind of sense. One of my assistants at Children's House walked with a small group of kids to take a couple of them to the school bus out on the main road. When they got back, she told me that while she was getting the kids on the bus, one of the little girls had convinced the other kids to pick poison oak leaves and rub themselves with the leaves. The girl told the others that nothing would happen to them. I panicked. I wished that we had a bathtub so they could all be washed, but we didn't. I began washing one child's hands and arms and realized that this was an impossible task. We had a tiny child-sized sink, and there were about 6 kids. I decided that if they believed that nothing was going to happen, I would believe that too. I would trust their decision. That's what I did, and nothing came of it. No cases of poison oak. Thanks for being here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Trust and solutions. All right, I'm going to skip this. An aspect of trust that we did not address at all last week is what trust means to us. So here are some of my thoughts on trusting others. Trusting someone means that you believe that you can find agreement with them. You believe in their decisions and actions. Trust also means believing that someone is speaking the truth of their experience and understanding. It has been said that if there are 15 witnesses to an incident, there will be 15 different stories about what happened. It can help to remember this when you consider judging whether someone is speaking the truth. Last week's show ended with an awareness that there was an aspect of trust that I had not covered in last week's talk, and that is the child believing in and trusting their parents. I just covered the child becoming trustworthy so that their parents can believe in them. However, since the adult is the example, the model for their kids, trust between kids and adults starts there. I need to get some water. Because of our last week's theme, trust, and ending the show with people wanting more, trust has been a theme that has floated in and out of my mind during this past week. The two primary aspects have been kids trusting the adults in their lives, and then the adults trusting themselves. First, kids trusting adults. As I think about it, it must be built into children to trust their parents, as love between parent and child seems built in for survival. Doesn't that make sense? When we are babies, we are entirely dependent on the adults in our lives to help us survive and hopefully thrive. Think of how much we can't do for ourselves. In any case, it seems that when we are babies and small children, we have no option but to trust. One awareness that has just come to me is that however much we trust our parents, trusting our parents does not take priority over trusting our developmental blueprint. What we need to do to ensure our developmental progress toward adulthood takes priority over what our parents might want us to do or not do. This is shown clearly in babies who can't yet talk or walk, but still do things their parents do not want them to do. In fact, they might even insist on doing certain things. It seems that the most powerful trust we have as a child is in following our developmental blueprint. In terms of trusting the adults in our lives, it seems that we do trust them as long as they do not go against what we are inspired to do by our developmental blueprint. For example, as a baby, we are inspired to touch things and put them in our mouths. That is a valuable way for us to learn about things. Often our parents do not want us to put things in our mouths and try to stop us. Some even hit us, hoping that hurting us will make us stop, but it doesn't. So it seems that adults becoming trustworthy to kids becomes an issue when parents try to force kids to go against what the kids are inspired to do. Perhaps the best we can do is to help them do what they are inspired to do. Or maybe we can even encourage them and give them opportunities to go in the direction their developmental blueprint is guiding them. Maybe we are not here as their guides, just as examples and helpers, and to love them and be loved by them. In this process of trusting, it seems that the one rule takes care of the whole issue. The one rule agreement not only helps people develop trust in themselves and trust in others who practice the one rule. You can use it even if you don't already believe in yourself or your kids. Practice the one rule and get the wonderful results that come from using the one rule. Following your interests, harmony, getting what you want without having to fight for it, even trusting, believing in yourself. The other aspect of trusting that has come to me this week is adults trusting themselves, their thoughts, their decisions, and their actions. I'm calling it believing in yourself, and it seems very important. In fact, as a model of how to live, it seems critically important. Not to mention, it is essential for personal thriving. Now, a third aspect of trust has appeared, which is a primary goal of trusting. Kids growing up trusting themselves so they can thrive. The two stories I told you last week the roof jumper and poison oak were used as examples of an adult, me, trusting kids. But they are also examples of kids trusting themselves. In the roof jumper, those kids who thought they could do the jump did, and those who did not think they could didn't. Both groups were exercising belief in themselves toward a successful end. In Poison Oak, all of the kids believed in their decision to try what their friends suggested. They also had successful outcomes. The following story demonstrates that kids can be trusted with control over many aspects of life that adults often assume they cannot handle. As Bob Schwartz points out in his book, Diets Don't Work, they can even be trusted to choose the food they eat. This is his story. I once read of an experiment in which children suffering from malnutrition were put into a room filled with food. There were all kinds of delicious things to eat, including sweets and candy. And in the corner, there was a kettle of gruel. The gruel wasn't as appetizing as the rest of the food, but it was loaded with all the nutrients the children's bodies lacked. The children were told they could have anything they wanted, and almost without exception, they headed for the gruel. They couldn't get enough of it. Okay, we don't need this. Okay, that's the end of that. All right. This is what I feel like sharing with you. Some stories. This is on ignoring you. This is where the kids are ignoring their mom. Why are they ignoring me again? They just keep playing with their toys. I'm so tired of this. This is her thinking. Why do they ignore me? I feel like I've tried everything. Time out, taking away their toys, sending them to their rooms. I don't know what to do. I don't want to spank them, ever. I guess I may as well give that harmonized formula a try. Now, I'm going to take a little break here. The harmonized formula was created before the one rule, and you'll see it, or you might see, depends. Anyway, the one rule really stems out of this. I created a training that was the harmonized formula. And it was after that the one rule appeared. Okay. Let's see. The first step is seeing if we just have to understand each other better. Minnie said it's working for her. Crystal, Jason. Oh, I have to go over to them. She walks over and kneels down near them. They're playing on the floor, building something. Crystal, Jason, I need you to pay attention to me. What, Mom? They keep on playing. Jason, Crystal, please look at me. They both look at her. What, Mom? I'm going to the store. I need you two to get ready to go with me. But Mom, we're having so much fun. I'm glad you're having fun, but when I have to tell you something, I need you to pay attention. We didn't hear you, Mom, said Crystal. Yeah, we were too busy playing, Jason added. We are having so much fun, said Crystal excitedly. Well, I'm glad you're having fun, but you really didn't hear me? No, Mom, we just keep coming up with better and better games. Did it help you hear me when I came over to you? Sure, said Crystal. Well, it's time to take a break and get ready to go to the store. You can get back to your game when we get home. Okay, Mom. Come on, Jason, let's get ready. Then this is what she thinks. That was amazing. I'm going to have to try that again. I have to remember to go over to them to get their attention. That was amazing. Here, all it took to make things go smoothly was for the mother to go over to the kids to get their attention without struggle. They were glad to give her their attention. They were not deliberately ignoring her as she thought. They were just intently focused on what they were doing. Then the story goes on because that's level 1 of the harmonized formula, where the only thing that's keeping you from keeping things from going smoothly is that you don't really understand what the other person wants. Okay. Level 2, the agreement. Here's the one rule. The agreement round. Okay. But what if the kids don't want to stop playing? Mom, we don't want to go to the store, said Crystal. No, we don't want to go to the store, agreed Jason. We're having so much fun. Now, the mom, first she thinks this and then she says something. Minnie said to keep it respectful and to find a solution that we all like. There's the one rule. It might be easier for me to go shopping on my own, but I can't leave you here without a grown-up. Can we take some of our toys? Yeah, then we can keep playing. That's a good idea, but you'll have to leave your toys in the car when we go into the store. Minnie said that the second step, what did she call it? The second round was that we use the first idea that we all like. Maybe this is it. So there's an example of the one rule in action before the one rule existed, in name anyway. Obviously it existed in that round. Here's an example of level 3, the understanding round at work. What if the kids really don't want to stop their game? Jason said, Crystal, let's stay in the car. Then we don't have to stop playing and we don't have to leave our toys. The mom thought, I guess we're not done yet. And then she says, I'm sorry, but you can't stay in the car by yourselves either. Then she thinks, maybe I can find something interesting for them to do so they could take a break in their game. Then she says, I wish you would help me in the market. What could we do? You can help me decide what food to get. You could get food that you can reach after we decide that we want it. It will help the shopping go faster. Then you can get back to your game. Can I ride in the car? Asked Jason. Sure you can, Jason. That will help the shopping go faster too. Can I get some things off the shelf when I'm in the cart? Yes, if they're things we decide we want and you can easily reach them. This sounds like a shopping adventure. Crystal said, let's just leave all our toys here so we can get back to our game when we get home. Let's go have a shopping adventure and help Mom. Yeah, let's have a shopping adventure. This sure is smoother than fighting about it. Thanks, Minnie. I'll have to tell you how it went. Okay, let's just continue on with these stories. I like the stories. Getting started. Melinda has been learning about the one rule and it really appeals to her. She feels she has learned enough to begin using this with her 9-year-old daughter. Willow, I hope this is a good time for us to talk because I have something I want to do. But before I can do it, I have to discuss it with you. Is now fine with you? Willow looks up from the cereal box she was reading. Her eyes are blank, not understanding. What is her mother talking about? I want to talk about not punishing you anymore. I know I usually punish you when you do things that I don't like, but I don't want to do that anymore. I want us to be able to solve our problems so we both feel good about the solution. Does that sound good to you? It sounds strange to Willow, but it's better to listen to her mother than not. I guess Melinda is determined not to lose her patience if it is at all possible. But it's frustrating to have her daughter react to this so half-heartedly. Melinda thought Willow would love the idea. I realize you might not understand how this is going to work. Shall I explain it to you? I guess. Even though Willow is not being the enthusiastic, cooperative child her mother might want, Melinda decides to plunge ahead. Is there anything I make you do that you don't like? I don't know. Willow does not want to get trapped into saying anything that might cause trouble for her. She can sense the tension in her mother, though she's not sure what's causing it. Although Melinda is beginning to feel really frustrated, she is determined not to lose her temper, but to persist in using this new approach. I know this is new for you. It's new for me too, but I really want us to have a good time together and not be mad and unhappy so much of the time. Wouldn't you like that, for us to get along together? Yeah. That's why I want to try this new way of treating each other. If you can't think of something, then I would like to suggest something. First, I better tell you I'm starting to feel really frustrated, but I'm not going to yell at you or hurt you. I don't want to do that anymore. Willow decides that she had better think of something rather than have her mother think of something. If her mother means it, it could be good. Well, I guess I hate to clean my room. Well, I'm so glad you thought of something. Melinda knows it will be a better introduction of this respectful approach if Willow gets to have a chance to be actively, positively involved. Now, let's see if we can figure out what to do to change this so we're both happy with the arrangements. You hate to clean your room, and I like to see your room clean. What if I help you pick up the things in your room every night after dinner so it will never get very messy? I like my room messy. Here's my chance. I can show Willow that I'm really willing to work with her. No more oppression, no harsh belittling judgments about the quality of her intelligence or her lack of proper values or priorities. Oh, I didn't know that. Could I keep my door closed so you don't have to look at the mess? Willow bravely speaks out as the idea occurs to her. Well, I'm willing to try it, but I still need you to pick up your things in the rest of the house, okay? Yeah, that's okay. I'd like to have another meeting about this next week to see if this is still a good idea for both of us. Does that sound fine to you? Yeah. Do you really mean you aren't going to punish me anymore? That's the way I want to do it. I think punishing is not good for either of us. It makes both of us unhappy, and I don't want that anymore. Wow. But what if you forget and get real mad at me? Well, that might happen. I'm not very experienced at working things out yet. What do you think we should do? I don't know. Well, one thing my teacher suggested was that when we feel upset by something our child is doing, we tell the child that we're mad or frustrated or hurt or whatever we're feeling because of whatever they're doing. Then we tell them that we can't talk about it right that minute, but that we need to talk about it after we've cooled off. Then we go away from the child until we feel calm. Then we can come back and talk about it. How does that sound to you? I wish you just wouldn't get mad at me anymore. I wish I wouldn't either, but I don't think that is going to happen right away. I'm too used to getting mad. I need some water. But my teacher said that she used to get mad at her children. Now she doesn't anymore. If she can do it, so can I. But I'm not sure how long it will take. So what do you think about the idea of cooling off before we talk? Okay. Well, I'm sure we can do a good job with this. I'm glad you learned about this, Mom. Blowing your top. Jeffrey, Elizabeth, Blair, come here right now. I'm really upset. Look at this kitchen. It's a mess. I thought we had an agreement. We have company coming for dinner tonight. I told you that this morning. I needed to come home to a clean kitchen, not this disaster. It makes me so angry. It is so inconsiderate. Mom, please chill out. We'll clean up. We have some friends over. They'll help. You go do something to help you relax. Please go into the garden or take a shower or just put your feet up. It's not good to discuss this while you're so steamed. You taught us that last month. It's a great idea. We'll have this place cleaned in 15 minutes. You're right, Jeff. I'm sorry. I'm already saying things I regret. I was just jumping to a conclusion about you being inconsiderate. A wrong conclusion. Okay, I'll be back in 15 minutes. I'd like help with dinner, and then we can talk. No problem, Mom. So now tell me the story of the messy kitchen. I know we agreed to clean up if we made anything to eat. Don't forget, we've been sticking pretty close to the agreement until today. I agree. I have appreciated it, in case I forgot to tell you. Well, today sort of turned into a party. We each had friends over. Casey brought over a movie, and we just forgot to clean up before we watched the movie. Then we forgot about it totally. And we forgot about guests for dinner. We're sorry you had any trouble from us. Yeah, Mom, we don't want to cause you trouble. We'll do our best to remember to clean up. We're really sorry we forgot how important today is, too. I mean, with your guests. I think we need to make notes for each other about important things like that and put them next to the shopping list. Then maybe things like this won't happen again. That is a very good idea, Beth. I need to apologize to all of you for letting my anger out on you. I know you're doing the best you can. We all are. I want to do my best to remember to cool off before I talk with you if I need to. I have to remember not to blame you and that you don't intentionally make life hard for me. And throwing anger at each other doesn't do any good. It just passes the bad feelings around. Please forgive me for my mistake. Thanks for being so understanding, Mom, and for forgiving us. Group hug. Okay, this next story is too long, so we are not going to go there. But we can go to the website. This is kind of the essence. The essence of the one rule. The reason that the one rule came into existence. Because we are each important. A way to take each of us into account. Now on this page, there is a way to sign up and get on the mailing list. But there is also a way, let's see, there is also a way to sign up for the member site. And it's only $1.99 a month. And you get most of the trainings. You get lots of ebooks, topic specific, as well as in-depth information. Let's see. See, there it is right there, first thing. And there's also the latest course. You can get it live. There's another place that you can join the member site. It gives you more information here. And there's a lot more on this page. Okay. Gonna stop the screen share. We're done for this week. I hope you have a wonderful week, enjoying the benefits of the one rule. Take care and use it. Stopping Facebook Live.